Here are 3 things you can do to keep your puppy from learning bad behaviors like house soiling, play biting, or destructive chewing. So the first is to make sure that your puppy is properly managed in the home. So proper management, ideally, isa yan sa mga bagay na long before your puppy arrives in your house, that's already in place. If you're already starting to experience some bad behaviors with your puppy, you can still catch up with what needs to be done. Pero wag masyado magtagal, wag patagalin, kasi the longer you wait, the more likely that your puppy will learn some very undesirable behaviors, which will be harder to correct the longer these are allowed to continue. A lot of the time, if your puppy is misbehaving, hindi mo actually kailangan ng trainer. It's more likely that your puppy is probably just in need of some better management in your home. So management means that you have ways to prevent the puppy from engaging in naughty behaviors in the first place. So kung sinasabi mo sa akin, Doc, yung puppy ko nagngangat-ngat ng mga bagay-bagay sa bahay, or my puppy is maybe peeing and pooping in the wrong places, or, he's play biting and all of that, suspect ako dyan, you are currently not managing your puppy very well in your home, and you're not providing enough supervision. So, paano baguhin yan? This falls under proper puppy management. First of all, make sure you have the right equipment to manage your puppy. So we'll focus here on equipment for restricting movement, confinement equipment, like crates, baby gates, barriers. These are used to really keep the puppy in confinement and out of trouble. If you don't have these, you could also maybe designate certain areas in your home as puppy-proofed areas, and you make sure na walang mga bagay-bagay doon sa loob ng kwarto na yun or doon sa area na yun na pwedeng mangat-ngat or pwedeng masira ng puppy, anything that could get the puppy in trouble, wala doon sa puppy-proofed space na yun, no? So again, when we're talking about confinement equipment, these are useful for keeping your puppy safe and secure while unsupervised, especially while unsupervised. Kasi definitely at some point during the day, it's likely you'll need to leave your puppy unsupervised. No? Minsan, you're busy with something else you're doing around the house. Maybe you're resting, or maybe you just want some, me time. You just want to have some leisure time by yourself without having to worry about the puppy. Or maybe you're stepping out and wala kang mapag-iwanan na magbabantay sa puppy. So you have to have somewhere where you can keep the puppy that's safe and secure. And also, confinement and confinement equipment protects your home and your stuff, you and your family's stuff from puppy teeth. Kasi nga alam natin, may tendency ang puppy na magnat-ngat. So you want to make sure that if you're not around to supervise the puppy, again, you're preventing things from getting wrecked or getting destroyed. And then the third reason why you want to make sure you have some way of containing and confining the puppy is to help the puppy learn to settle in confinement. We'll talk about confinement a little bit later and how it can help you really build a routine for your puppy. So there's, of course, a lot of other equipment and accessories you can buy. There's training equipment, there's toys, shoe items, leashes and collars. For more equipment-related recommendations, you can watch this video. So secondly, under puppy management, you want to make sure you're definitely puppy-proofing your home. So medyo nabanggit ko na to. Whether your puppy is inside or outside of the confinement area or whatever confinement equipment you're using, make sure that whatever spaces you allow your puppy in, that these are puppy-proofed. So again, wala dapat nangangat-ngat dito sa mga spaces na yan, walang nasisira. So as much as possible, hindi magkakaroon ng opportunity yung puppy mo na gawa ng mga kanyang naughty behaviors in there. If you cannot 100% puppy-proof a space, then make sure you're actively supervising your puppy while he's moving around the house. All right. So the third thing under puppy management is that you really want to make sure you're scheduling time for your puppy. Make sure that you have factored your puppy into your routine. Kasi minsan, ni-expect natin, kukuha tayo ng aso, kukuha tayo ng tuta, na yung oras natin, ganun pa rin, no? Kagaya ng dati, pwede pa rin tayo magsaya-saya, wala tayong iniisip. Pwede siguro yan if you have other people watching the puppy for you and taking care of the puppy for you. But, if you've taken on this responsibility, and if you really want to make sure you're doing puppy raising correctly, your puppy is definitely going to demand time from you and will disrupt your usual schedule. So the best way to transition into that new routine and to reduce the stress that comes from it is to really have a plan already in place for when to do things with your puppy, and when to do the play, the training, the socialization, and whatever exercises you want to do with your puppy. When you're prepared for the transition, so handa ka na, alam mo kung anong mga gagawin mo at kung anong oras, you're also prepared to provide for your puppy's needs at appropriate times and or designated times throughout the day. Kasi kung hihintayin mo pa na yung puppy ang mag-demand para sa mga bagay-bagay na ito, no? When you wait until na-bore na yung puppy or naghahanap na siya ng magagawa or naghahanap na siya ng attention, that's when it happens that your puppy will start to learn to bark for attention kasi nagre-respond ka lang sa kanya pag tumahol siya. Gano'n na rin yung biting for attention, no? Saka lang sila nagsisimula mag-play bite to get you to move, to get you up off your feet. Or they might also learn to, destroy things for attention, or not necessarily doing this for attention, but knowing that it's something fun that they can do. And karungtong na nun, nakikita nila na pag nagsimula silang maggatngat somewhere, that's what gets you up off your feet, and that's what provokes some kind of interaction from you. So you might accidentally teach your puppy the wrong way to get you to interact with them. And then, of course, because hindi nabibigyan ng oras yung tuta, pwede rin niyang matutunan magwiwi at pupo sa maling lugar dahil hindi mo ginaguide yung potty routine niya. Okay, so to repeat, management means you are prepared to attend to your puppy's needs before your puppy demands for them. And you have measures in place to prevent naughty behavior and direct your puppy towards the desirable or correct behaviors that you want it to learn. So sometimes, just from proper management, your puppy can already learn his home manners and, be trained to follow a routine just from, being properly managed throughout the day. And talagang hindi naman kailangan yung formal training. It's all in what you do with your puppy in the home. To help you keep track of the things you need to do for proper management of your puppy, I've prepared a free proactive puppy training guide for you. All you need to do is to comment proactive puppy parent below or message me, and I'll send you the download link for where you can get your free guide. The second thing after management is that you teach your puppy what to do. So now you have the right equipment prepared, you have puppy-proof spaces prepared in your home, and you've scheduled time for your puppy. So just from following a proper puppy management system, which involves a good routine, matututunan na ng puppy mo yung tamang lugar kung saan siya magwiwiwi and pupo dahil ginaguide mo siya. He would learn to settle down when in confinement because, again, that's part of the routine. And then he'll learn to quietly wait for activity time with you as well. So let me talk a little bit more about confinement here. Some of you might have a puppy that isn't happy with being confined. So, yung iba sa inyo naawa na ikulong yung puppy nyo dahil, nagwawala or umiiyak while in confinement. If you have a puppy that wasn't taught early on to accept being confined or na may iwan siya mag-isa habang nakakulong, or you have a puppy that had a bad experience with confinement sometimes early on siguro, then you may need some extra steps to get your puppy used to being confined bago maging useful para sa inyo yung confinement at bago ma-integrate nyo yan into the routine. So there are some extra things that you need to do with your puppy to get them used to staying in confinement. Some of you naman, you might feel very negatively about confining your puppy for any amount of time. So parang hindi talaga naawa kayo. So hindi nyo gusto na iiwan yung puppy nyo na nakakulong. So if you don't want to confine, if you're not comfortable with that, then you have to just be absolutely sure that you've puppy-proofed the spaces that you're allowing your puppy in, or yun nga, maganda yung supervision ng puppy mo, just to avoid repeat performances of the undesirable behaviors. Okay? But still, I encourage you to really practice confinement training because it's useful for a lot of things, even beyond puppyhood. If it helps, you can think of your puppy's confinement space like a toddler's crib. Diba, pag toddler or baby, lalagay mo sa crib or playpen to keep them safe, and you can do some other tasks while your toddler is in there, right? And it's pretty much the same thing for a puppy that still has to learn its home manners and the rules of the house. It's temporary. Confinement is temporary and used only until such time that your puppy has learned the rules of the house and developed some manners. So you don't have to feel bad about confining your puppy. All right. So still talking about teaching your puppy, aside from teaching your puppy the routine and about confinement and confinement times, it's of course really a good idea to actively train your puppy or teach it good and desirable behaviors. So training makes it easier to communicate with the puppy what you actually want it to do and explains to the puppy how it can get the things that it wants without creating any conflict with you. So for example, instead of jumping up because your puppy wants attention from you, you can teach your puppy a nice sit, or at the very least to keep all four paws on the floor, and that eliminates the jumping up behavior. So and that's a simple example. Of course, there are others, but we can get into that later. And then training also provides a good mental and physical exercise to drain excess energy, especially for those very energetic puppies. And it helps them to really calm down. Tapos yung training also helps to build a bond between you and your puppy. And the more your puppy knows, of course, mas magiging reliable siya for you or listening to you and following what you want it to do. So the more freedom you're allowed to give your puppy. So yon. So after management and training, you also want to make sure you are socializing your puppy the right way. So socialization, of course, refers to introducing your puppy to as many different things or what we call stimuli as early as possible in a structured and controlled manner. Sometimes, puppies can get socialized accidentally, hindi mo naman iniisip or pinaplaplanuhan. So you don't put any thought into it and they still get socialized maybe just because you bring your puppy with you to different places at palagi mong kasama. And fortunately for you, wala siya nagiging bad experiences during those times. So yun na nga, na-socialize siya. But the better way is to really be proactive about it and to be aware of what your puppy is experiencing and be sensitive to the fact that, puppies, like people, they have different personalities, different temperaments, or different tolerance thresholds, which may detect them, which may, determine their response to certain socialization experiences. Kasi if you're not observant of your pup's body language, and of course, if you're not careful how you expose them to certain things or situations, you may accidentally expose your puppy to some bad experiences which may lead to improper socialization. So, yung mga aso na hindi properly socialized or that are under-socialized, yun yung mga tipong magde-develop or posibleng magdevelop ng phobias, posibleng magkaroon ng reactivity and be difficult to handle. And of course, pwede rin sila magdevelop ng aggression. And, I'll confess that I actually myself have some under-socialized dogs. I have one that is fearful and one that is reactive. To be fair, these are dogs that I rescued. I didn't get to work with them in puppyhood. And then, of course, temperament is a factor as well. So now I have to, work with the fearfulness and the reactivity. And even though it's gotten better and more manageable, it's still harder to undo these things than it is to prevent them from developing in the first place. So if you have an opportunity for where you can socialize your puppy early on, you better do it to really save yourself from a lot of stress. And to further encourage you to be proactive with your puppy, here's a video wherein I go into more detail about proper socialization for puppies. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.